So, No Man's Sky and PlayStation 5, what do you get if you combine these two right now? Well, if your answer is fast graphics, 60 FPS and almost instant load times, then you would probably be correct, because that is exactly my experience right now for the past few days ever since I got the PlayStation 5. So, what's up everybody, welcome back to another No Man's Sky video. Today we're gonna be playing the game on the PlayStation 5, or should I be saying we would be testing the game on the PlayStation 5. Because I got it a few days ago, I've been having a blast with it, and even more so, I had so much fun with No Man's Sky on the PlayStation 5 that I am literally considering switching fully on to the consoles just because of that. So let's talk about that in this video, and as always, if you enjoy it at any point, don't forget to leave a thumbs up on it. That would be super awesome of you. But let's begin, of course, with one thing that you should probably do right now if you just got your new gen of consoles, especially the PlayStation 5, and that is to make sure that your No Man's Sky installation has the PlayStation 5 patch applied right now. To do that, simply hover over, well, in this case, the game installation into your main screen, press the option button and then check game version, see which one of these is installed. If it says anything but PlayStation 5 right here, it's not the proper installation and you will need to apply that patch. Otherwise, you're not going to benefit from all of the goodies like the fast loading times, the improved graphics, and even more so, the haptic feedback that comes with, of course, this new gen of controllers. Otherwise, you can also go into the product view and eventually you're going to be able to like see it over there. So if you check the product, you should see right here that there is a patch available for you to download. In my case, it's already installed, but you should see that if you don't have it already. Now, with that being out of the way, let's discuss the loading times. This is the first major thing that I've tested as soon as I jumped into the game on the PlayStation 5. So as you can see, I did a comparison between the default experience that you get on the PS4 Pro, of course that includes the HDD, the default experience on the PlayStation 5, which has by default an SSD, and finally my current main PC, which is the one with the specs right there. I will admit the SSD might not be the fastest, it's like a couple of years old, but it still manages to hold on its own in most of the games out there. So as you can see, obviously the PlayStation 5 easily won this round right here. 40 seconds to fully load from the main screen all the way into the game, all the way to where you can start control your character. So this includes also loading the assets in the world around you. On the PC we did the same and it loaded in just a bit over 50 seconds. So on average I've discovered that it can be anywhere between 9 to 10 seconds difference between the PlayStation 5 and my current PC with the specs that you can see. And finally we had the PlayStation 4 Pro, which was absolutely crazy, dude. Over 2 minutes just to load in the first area. So yeah, as I've said, this is the default experience. This is aimed towards what you can find in the package. So when you pre-order the PS4 Pro, this is what you get. If you pre-order the PS5, this is what you get. And if you build a PC, this is what you will see in your installation. But with that being said and done, let's talk about some of the key differences that I have noticed when playing the different versions between the PS4 Pro, PS5 and my PC. By the way, both the PC and the PS5 play on the ultra settings, though I will say that the PlayStation 5, even though it does list ultra settings, it might not have the highest setting, for example, for anti-aliasing. So that is just something that I noticed, especially in space stations, but otherwise it's quite a stark difference between the two generations of PlayStation. So here is one of the first shots that I took on the PlayStation 4 Pro. This is not that bad actually, mainly because Hello Games already improved the terrain textures quite a while ago, but you can see that at least in terms of how far the grass is being rendered, it's not that much. I mean, just barely over these rocks over the right side, and then it immediately just breaks off. You probably can't see it because of the compression, but the difference is quite big. Even more so when you compare it with the PC that is running on everything absolutely on the maximum settings. So this is the PC version. As you can see, the grass loads all the way up to these two rocks over here in the back, and it also kind of transitions a little bit better, though I will say that it doesn't fully cover this entire hill onto the right side, since neither of these consoles, neither the PC can do that no matter what settings you're using. And if you were to compare this with the PlayStation 5, you will see that actually that still holds correct. So it goes similarly to the PC, as in the render distance is also quite close to the two rocks over there in the back. I will also tell you to pay attention to the other details on the grass and the vegetation. As you can see, both the PC and the PS5 render additional, let's just say vegetation or foliage. Like for example, you will see taller grass, small bushes, and a ton more flowers in the field compared to the PlayStation 4, which kind of looks just basic, way too basic at this point compared to these two. And this extends of course to other areas too, like this area of the forest. You can easily see that the grass breaks off around the bushes over there in the middle of the screen, even like before that. And of course the hill on the right side is completely naked, if I might say so. Well, behold, on the PC it's of course all beautifully rendered. You can see that most of it is covered all the way up in the middle point, and it has a much better transition into like the LODs that come later after that into the top section. But then here comes the PlayStation 5 with pretty much the same results. I mean, even the grass is rendered exactly at the same point as it was on the PC. Now, the only difference that I have noticed between the shots that had the same lighting conditions and the same environment was the fact that on the PlayStation 5 my colors just popped way more. I thought this was because I was using a different TV, but no, that was also kept on the actual source file as well. So the files also seem to have a much more vibrant color on the recordings on the PlayStation 5 compared to the ones on my PC. So this is why your game is going to look way more beautiful on the PlayStation 5 than even on the high setting on the best PC. And now I've done a number of other comparisons with all bunch of textures, and here is of course another result that I have. So there's no distinguishable difference between the PS5 graphics, or should I say textures, and the ones on the PC at ultra settings. And this, by the way, also holds true for the PS4 Pro version, and that's mainly because it seems that all versions of the game will use high definition textures for pretty much everything. So even in the case of these close-up shots of the armor, for example, I am not noticing a single difference between these. It still seems to hold the same amount of detail. It still seems to hold the same amount of you know, like small little scratches into that and all that kind of stuff. The same goes of course with the tree textures and the vegetation, though there are some differences when it comes to like the trees that are rendered in front of you, because even though you might be next to the same tree, I think that the generation kind of makes them a little bit different compared to one another. So you might find a bush next to a tree when on the PC there might not be one, or it might be on a different tree. That was just maybe because of the online connection. Now the biggest difference that I will say, like the biggest leap that the PlayStation 5 manages, and well, that is a given, is the fact that it manages to hold on a stable 60 frames per second at these ultra high settings quality. And this is like the biggest probably win over here for PlayStation 5. If you want to achieve the same result with a PC, you probably need to spend way more to get the hardware necessary to run all of this at comparable settings and performance. I think that you will need to spend at least double the price of a PlayStation 5 just to achieve the same results. So ultra high settings and stable 60 frame rates. And this will probably hold true on the Series X. I'm pretty sure that the Series X is more than capable of doing this too, but in this case I have the PlayStation, so that's my only means of comparison. But we've talked about performance, let's talk about the feel of it all, because I think that this is probably the biggest of the biggest changes when it comes to how you feel and experience No Man's Sky on the new generation. And this is particular to the PlayStation 5, since it's the only one that comes with this in its controller, and that is the haptic feedback that was updated with or for the PlayStation 5. So this was truly taking me back when I was testing it a couple of days ago. So first of all, you're going to feel everything that you're doing. So this includes, for example, when you're using your multi-tool, when it becomes to overheat overheat, it kind of pushes back your R2 on the controller, and it kind of forces you to press it a bit harder. You're kind of like fighting with your multi-tool in game. So that both acts as a really amazing just feeling in the hand, but also at the same time it gives you a feedback, which means that you don't have to pay attention too much to your UI, since you actively feel that your multi-tool is overheating in your hand when you are actively using it. The same goes, for example, when starting your ship, when accelerating, when braking, you actually feel the acceleration of the ship because you have to like press your button a little bit harder to make it accelerate. I'm not really sure how to put it in words, it's really complicated, but it's kind of like you're trying to fight with the gravity. If I were to put it into words, like you're actively trying to make it go faster by pressing that button harder, and the button is also putting resistance when you're doing that initial thrust. So that is really amazing. The same goes, for example, when you're braking with L2 on the controller. So you will feel that it will kind of like skip 3 times because you're trying to forcibly stop when you're going at really high speeds. So that is really amazing. This just changes so much when it comes to your flight controls, especially because this is the only time when you will use R2 and L2 on the controller. Outside of this, the only other thing that I will mention is the fact that the performance overall kept itself really high even when going into places with like really complicated bases. So base is now unlimited, like base limits have been completely removed, or at least you have like the option to turn that off, and you can see really huge bases with not that much of a performance loss, or at the very least not something that I was able to notice. And again, these changes with the fact that the game just looks more crisp and more vibrant on the PlayStation 5 kind of makes me want to switch to the PlayStation 5, and of course the other reasons that I have mentioned in this video. But yeah, let me know down below, did you manage to play it on the new gen? How did you find the experience? Let me know down below, and yeah, I will see you guys in the next one, so peace out.